If we're ready, I'd like to bring to order the City of Grand Rapids Mobile GR Commission on August 7th at 12 p.m. First order of business are the approval of the minutes from July 10th's meeting. They were in our packets. Are there any questions or corrections to be had? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have no action items today, so we'll move right on to the discussions. First discussion is all about signals, and she's signaling me to,
My very secret signal. Can we do roll call?
oh, so sorry.
Yeah, no
Roll call.
problem.
Yeah, who is here?
I will
All right.
make a roll call.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Commissioner Lunger,
Here.
Commissioner Whistlelink,
Here.
Commissioner Clark, Commissioner LeGrand,
Yep.
Commissioner Wynn,
Here.
Commissioner Mathis,
Here.
Commissioner Sasa,
Sasa.
Sasa.
Here.
Every day, I will work harder on that. Thank you. Commissioner Ray? Rye, got it. Commissioner Patton?
Here.
Commissioner Pawalka?
Here.
Commissioner Weiler or Wheeler?
Weiler. Here.
Weiler, excellent. And Commissioner Wilson? Here. Thank you very much. We have a quorum.
All right.
In fact, we have a full attendance with one exception. So
All right.
thank you very much for all being here. We would be out of seats, wouldn't we? We'll work on that.
All right. Then we will move on to discussion items. All about signals.
All right, so I have made one little update for you all in your packet when we have a discussion item. Now, there's a presentation, and I'd like to introduce Matt Van Dyke, who you may not have seen before, who runs our Traffic Management Center and our Signal Shop. And then also you've seen John Bartlett before, who is the engineer that helps oversee some of the more system-wide things. And they have a presentation, they're going to talk with you a lot about our signal system today. So get ready for some really cool information about a system you probably didn't know how it all worked exactly. So the other little update is that in your packet, what I have started doing is having staff or myself put together a little memo for you all that goes with the presentation so that it gives a summary of what the presentation is. And then, of course, we always give you all the presentation. But sometimes it's helpful to have that little one-pager to refer back to, and it helps me remember what we talked to you all about. And it also is kind of an easy access, easy reference for you all. So I'm happy to take your thoughts on how that's working as we try that a little bit over the next few months. Okay, Matt, it's all yours.
Okay. Now, green. Is it green? I can just. Oh, yeah. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Do I need to press this?
How about you use this?
That's live.
Okay. Okay. My name is Matt, as Jessica mentioned, and I'm here to talk about signals. Just give a general overview of what we do, Traffic Signals Division for City of Grand Rapids, what we do, what kind of signal improvements and safety improvements we've made and seen in the recent past, overview of our Traffic Management Center, and talk about the future of traffic signals, what's happening in the traffic signal world and some of the challenges we're facing, and finally what those costs are and planning for that future. Like I mentioned, my name's Matt Van Dyke. I've been with the city for 23 years. I am currently the acting signal and lighting superintendent. That job title is a little deceiving because we also have somebody in the lighting division for ESD, so we share that job title between the two departments. But I just take care of the traffic signals. I supervise a team of one four-person who is the acting signal and lighting supervisor. And that person supervises 8 electricians who repair all our traffic signals and maintain them, and 2 intelligent transportation system technicians. That job title is actually currently being revised. We have some old legacy job titles associated with those jobs, but I'll get into a little bit later on what they do, ITS employees. Something that many people don't realize is the Traffic Signals Division for City of Grand Rapids maintains a lot of signals throughout the region, not just City of Grand Rapids. This is a list of all our partner agencies. All these agencies either own or partially own traffic signals that we maintain on their behalf. Here's a breakdown of all the numbers of signal devices we maintain. Nearly 700 traffic signals that we maintain. Nearly 200 flashers. That's a pretty broad category. That means any signal device that provides a flashing warning beacon. And then rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RRFBs. We got quite a few of those now. A few years ago, that was 0. So, and then we have pedestrian hybrid beacons. We have 3 of those we maintain now. And I'll get into what RRFBs are and pedestrian hybrid beacons a little bit later. They're relatively new devices in the signal world.
Hey, Matt. Over here. Question.
Yeah,
Right
sorry.
here. Sorry. The microphone.
You're-
Is there a breakdown later in this presentation of kind of the financial aspect of those partnerships with those organizations, like who pays for what we get out of it, et cetera?
Not specifically. We didn't get too much into the budgetary numbers here. But we do cost recovery, so every time we do work on I call them customers. Every time we do work for a customer, all the city's costs associated with that work is reimbursed by the customer.
Okay.
Plus a little bit of overhead markup and
Right. And I guess the history of those partnerships is probably an act of goodwill from the city to do all this stuff, or is it mandated by the state or county or?
I don't believe it's mandated by anybody. It's just a very old understanding between the city of Grand Rapids and surrounding agencies.
Okay.
The city of Grand Rapids being the central and largest agency of them, we actually have the staff and equipment to do this kind of work. A lot of these smaller agencies, with the exception of MDOT, do not have the expertise to maintain signals. It's kind of a specialty
Yeah.
field of work.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, there's no requirement for the city of Grand Rapids to do it, but I think it works out pretty well for us. I'll get into in the next slide what those percentages, what they look like on a pie chart, but it does bring in quite a bit of revenue to our department and the city of Grand Rapids, so.
Cool. Thanks.
I would like to point out on this slide that the FHWA, Federal Highway Administration, recommends, and this is right from their website, adequate staffing level for traffic signal operations to be 75 to 100 signals per engineer and 30 to 40 signals per technician. If I group our technicians and our ITS employees and our electricians together, we averaged 95 signal devices per one of those employees. So we're maintaining a lot more signals than recommended. We're doing okay with that, but in typical city fashion, we do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
So
I guess if, in my mind, if we are, truly recouping the cost of maintaining all of these, we would be able to staff our, to the recommended staffing levels, but.
And Matt, let me make a note about, okay, so what Matt is pointing out is that we have cost recovery with our partners.
And then.
How do I put this? We do not have the funding allocated in the city budget. Our partners are paying us,
Yep.
but the city budget, we are staffed at the level that the city budget
Allows.
allows.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
city budget would need to grow if we wanted to increase our staffing levels.
Okay.
And the other thing I wanted to point out is that although this is a, this is a model that Matt was pointing out has been around for a really long time, we do have formal MOUs with all of our partners. So it's dedicated, it's as though we're a business offering a service, and we charge a cost for that service.
Yes.
Okay,
I
it's not just like willy-nilly, we've
Totally.
been doing this forever kind of thing. I just want to point that out.
appreciate that clarification.
Of course.
What doesn't really make sense to me, I guess, is if we are a business charging a service or acting as such, it seems like our staffing levels should be appropriate. And to me, it seems as if, this is the big city supporting infrastructure that the small places cannot support, and we're just doing it because it's the right thing to do, but does it make fiscal sense?
Supporting our partners does make fiscal sense. And we can talk more about the financials when Andrea comes and talks about our budget as a whole. What I'm trying to clarify is that our investment from our city budget we're staffed at the level to take care of the city signals at the level that we have in our city budget. And that's constrained by budgetary realities. So it's actually very, it's a tough conversation because we're doing a lot with a little, but we're being reimbursed for that work that's taking place. Does that make sense, how there's like kind of this?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the city budget is from city money only that we capture. It just seems that there's a disconnect, obviously, because we're at 95 signals per technician, and it should be 30 to 40 signals per technician.
Correct.
75 to 100 per, oh, I see, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and can you, that's ambiguous because you use engineer and technician above, and then you say engineer.
Can you turn on real quick? I want to
Yeah.
hear what you're saying.
So you say engineer and then technician above, and then below you say technician slash electrician. So you're saying the recommendations is for us to be staffing about twice as high as we are now?
Yes,
The
approximately.
technician number from above talks to the 95 below, not the engineer number?
Correct.
Okay.
The engineer number is sort of like saying supervisor. And, the job titles translate to a supervisor in the city for an engineer, and the technician wording would translate to an electrician or ITS technician that the city has. Basically, the people that supervise the work and the people that do the work. So,
So I guess what Stefan was getting at, maybe let me see if I can conceptualize it a different way, because I have the same concern. So when we're costing these things out, are we splitting our current understaffed staffing and spreading that cost out to the outlying areas, or are we spreading out a properly staffed model and allocating that cost? You follow me? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
we're just reinforcing understaffing.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things you got to realize is there's 700 different signal things that we're taking care of, right? With the staff that we have. Only about 200 of them are owned by the city.
yeah, let me just go
So
skip ahead a couple slides. So
Yep.
here's the breakdown. The city owns 30% of the items that we maintain, so a third. That would mean that approximately 2/3 of our work is done for customers and reimbursed by customers. So it's a one-for-one. When we do the work, we get reimbursed. We're not billing as if we were staffed to FHWA levels. We just bill for the work we do.
Well, I guess then the question is, if you were staffed at those levels, what different level of service would you be providing?
We would be providing a better level of service, more frequent preventative maintenance, better responsive maintenance, just overall more and better service to our customers and ourselves.
these are excellent questions, and I'm really appreciative that you all are connecting the dots that I saw when I walked in and looked at our budget and how we were structured with the TMC. So what I'd like to do is give you some more detailed information to help you see that full picture. And today's presentation won't show you that, but I do want to show that to you. And it's my plan is to come back with the kind of the behind the curtains budget of Mobile GR in September or October with our budget gal, Andrea. And I really appreciate y'all's questions. So if there's anything else that's kind of bubbling to the top on this, what I've got so far is staffing levels. How is it split between our partner agencies, and then obviously like what's in the city budget, city revenue budgets and how that's paid for. Is there anything else I'm missing? Because I want to make sure I hit those when we come back and chat about this a little longer.
Well, I guess related to this discussion, I mean, I know you're saying like we're doing this because Grand Rapids is like the big organization, but on this list you have 3 levels above us. We have Kent County, Ottawa County, and MDOT. Those should all be in an umbrella of government above us, right? So it would seem odd that we are doing work for these agencies that are above us and not having the right staffing.
It has less to do with the level of government and a little bit more to do with the technology and the infrastructure that we have to run the system. And that's a huge investment. And, it's different models and different, communities all over the U.S. And this is just the one that this region happens to be in the middle of. I do think it's a good question, right? Like, why is this, like, basically, if I could summarize, like, is this still the right model for the region? Is that what I'm hearing? It's like a question of that.
Yeah, and just thinking, not to like ascribe any sort of emotion to it, but it kind of seems like we're getting taken advantage of by these other bigger organizations than us who maybe have more resources than the city does in the city budget.
Thank you. Anything you want to add there, Matt? And I know this is not the big meat of your presentation, but it is something we talked a lot about, would probably have some questions.
No, I agree. Somebody looking at it with fresh eyes could obviously have some of those questions. As a 23-year employee of the city, it's sort of, for me, it just feels like, oh, well, it's always been this way. And the reason why it's always been this way is a lot of the things I spoke to earlier about the technology, the expertise, the ability to maintain signals has always fallen on the city. But there's also a level of coordination between and across the roadways and standardization of signal operation and maintenance.
And let me push back on the higher, lower level government thing a little bit, because one of the things that we have done over the years is actually take roads back from MDOT, and there are really good reasons to do that, because if we just say, oh, you're a higher level of government, take care of this, well, then they're also going to be making the rules. So there's a couple slides from here. There's a hallucinogenic MDOT definition of traffic signals, which I want to point out when we get there. Well, I'm not interested in using their hallucinogenic definition of traffic signals. And if we run them ourselves, we get to set our own policy, hence this room, right? Hence this group.
That's a very good point. Having the city of Grand Rapids has a lot of control and influence over the way its traffic signals run throughout the entire Grand Rapids region. You'll see a map coming up, but basically that entire area, the decisions that we make influence all the agencies on this list. So
Thanks.
Yeah, and I fully agree with the idea that we, having local control, especially of like roads and road design, is very important, because we can see what MDOT does when MDOT has control. So no issue with that, but more just from the financial aspect of it. I worry about, our resources being spread as thin as they are.
right.
So in the interest of time,
Sure.
though, if we could allow Matt to get through the presentation and just save our questions.
Those are great questions, though.
Yeah.
I really like hearing it. Thank you. Here's a map of our maintenance area, which basically shows the blue area is the area we maintain. So the entire county of Kent, except for City of Wyoming. City of Wyoming has elected to maintain their own traffic signals. They have a staff of 3 to maintain 60 signals. So you can, three electricians for 60 signals is much more in line with the FHWA recommendations. But yeah, they maintain their own signals. If you look closely on this map, you'll see some blue lines down the expressway and 28th Street. Those are MDOT routes so we take care of signals right in the middle of the city of Wyoming because they happen to be owned by MDOT. We also take care of signals in Ottawa County out to 48th Avenue. Here's the pie chart of signal system percentages we talked about earlier. Approximately a third of the signals we maintain are our own. Everything else are customer signals. And you can see a lot of the big two customers are Kent County and MDOT. And then we have a breakdown of many other smaller customers that you can see there. And here's a breakdown of what the city owns. 215 traffic signals, 22 overhead flashers, 8 school flashers, 37 rapid flashing beacons, and 2 pedestrian hybrid beacons. So, doing a little research on what traffic signals are meant to do and the purpose, basically to provide right-of-way to vehicles and pedestrians in an orderly fashion, provide efficiency and consistent rules for all road users. That's one of the things that, like I was alluding to earlier, having influence and control over signals across the entire region, the city of Grand Rapids can decide on many nuances that the general public is not aware of, but how signals run, very nuanced safety improvements we make to signal timings, signal coordination, the way signals relate to each other on the roadway, the way vehicles travel down the roadway in a progression. The city of Grand Rapids, again, is able to influence those decisions and advise our partner agencies on those, which improves both efficiency and safety across the entire region of Grand Rapids. MDOT says the primary goal of a traffic signal is to move traffic efficiently and effectively. The city of Grand Rapids, I would like to stress, has the additional goals to that with an added focus on safety, equity, and sustainability.
I have a small question on that.
Sure.
You said, can you clarify the influence the city of Grand Rapids has on signal timing? For example, if it takes too long for a pedestrian to cross a street owned by MDOT, how does our city influence that?
Yeah, sure. So for example, because we are the maintaining agency, we can strongly advise MDOT, hey, we've had a lot of complaints or citizen concerns about a certain pedestrian crossing. We advise right down to exactly what we want the change to be usually. Like, hey, the total crossing duration for this crossing is 27 seconds. We'd like to change it to 35 seconds. And because of our relationship with MDOT, they are likely to agree to that. So they also look to us as the experts and the local familiarity with these locations. MDOT, the people that make the timing decisions for MDOT traffic signals oddly work out of Lansing. So when they look at us as users, both owners and users of these roadways, not only do we maintain them, but we are, familiar with the traffic patterns. We drive on these roadways. They're in our city. So that's one of the big advantages of maintaining customer signals. Did that more or less answer the question? So I wanted to go back to the Grand Rapids goals, safety, equity, and sustainability. We've done a lot in the time that I've worked for the city, the way City of Grand Rapids treats its transportation system, its traffic signals. has improved and changed tremendously over the years. The biggest, most noticeable improvements are listed below here. In the city of Grand Rapids, we're not the only ones doing these improvements. Many of these are region-wide, statewide, countrywide mandates, but there's a few in particular, city of Grand Rapids has really welcomed more than other agencies. Box span configurations, flashing yellow arrow left turns, signal backplates, countdown pedestrian signals, hybrid beacons, rapid flashing beacons, detection technology, signal preemption, and signal optimization. So I'll try to breeze through each one of those and give some descriptions and examples of them without taking too much time here. But box span signals are when traffic signals are installed so that if you're looking down at the intersection from a bird's eye view, there are 4 signal spans crossing each leg of the intersection. This places the signal heads further away from the stop bar, makes them much more visible to drivers, with the added benefit of being much easier and safer for our employees to work on these traffic signals. I think because of the increased visibility, they do have a reduction in both serious injuries and fatalities that you can see on the slide. Basically, for the past 15 years or so, anytime a traffic signal is modernized anywhere in Michigan, if it's possible, we modernize it to a box span configuration versus the old diagonal span style. That's not just City of Grand Rapids. This is like I said, a statewide goal all the agencies agree to. The other thing that's not just statewide but countrywide, the MUTCD mandates that all new permissive left turn signals be the flashing yellow arrow type. These flashing yellow arrows provide tremendous flexibility on how we operate our traffic signals because they're able to provide a clearance interval, which is the yellow change interval at the end of every protected interval, or also at the end of the permissive interval. That being said, there are anecdotal concerns with some of the ways that these left turns can be run. So going back to talking about region-wide influence and decisions, the City of Grand Rapids, years and years ago when these left turns first came out in 2006, after a year or two of tracking the data, listening to driver concerns, complaints, we advised on a region-wide policy decision on how these things run, and MDOT and all the customers were in agreement. So if you travel across our maintenance area, Kent County and Ottawa County, half of Ottawa County, all the left turns run in a predictable manner that provides an improved level of safety to both drivers and pedestrians. Outside of our maintenance area, for the traffic geeks that will actually notice these things, you'll see that flashing yellow arrow left turns do run differently in Lansing. They do run differently in Detroit. They are a tad more efficient, but they're also a tad more prone to crashes. So again, going back to some of the benefits of being the maintaining agency for the whole West Michigan area. Around 2020, these traffic signal backplates, which I'm sure you've all seen, hit the traffic signal world. They're pretty big now. MDOT was slow to warm up to the idea, but the city and Kent County got on it right away and welcomed it. So every new signal that we install has traffic signal backplates. They provide a tremendous increase in visibility, and I think the greatest benefit is during nighttime power outages. The traffic signal heads have a high reflectivity, so oncoming cars can see that the traffic signal is indeed dark and out and obey the state law to stop on a dark traffic signal, which increases that safety tremendously. We can also retrofit old box spans signals that are preferably box span, but all signals for the most part. We can retrofit them with backplates as time and funding allow. And you can see the statistical reduction in serious injuries and fatalities there for traffic signal backplates. Countdown pedestrian signals have a reduction in injury and fatality as well, and also provide a tremendous convenience and great information to pedestrians and other non-motorized users. The city welcomed countdown pedestrian signals as soon as they came out, and we finally replaced our last old style pedestrian signal in 2020. So everything in the city is now a countdown pedestrian signal at every signal.
Matt,
Sure.
right here. Just in case we were to happen to see a non-countdown pedestrian signal, what's a method we could go through to report that to Mobile GR?
You can email Mobile GR office staff or report it to 311.
Okay. It was just double checking if there was a formal way to do that or just via email.
Nope, the most effective way would be to email. It's a non-emergency issue, so email would be fine.
Okay.
And when Matt says email Mobile GR staff, he means the Mobile GR staff email the Mobile GR at the main one.
Like the organizational?
Yep, it's pretty cool. It goes through our ticketing system and it gets assigned to the correct staff to take
Nice.
care of it. It's the most efficient way to get a non-emergency
Correct.
item taken care of.
Yep.
Thanks for
Not
asking.
emailing you directly?
Emailing me directly is one of the slowest ways to get something taken care of. Calling me is the best way to get my attention.
All right. I will email the OMB. Thank you.
That being said, if a traffic signal is malfunctioning, we like to hear about it as soon as possible, so that's a phone call to 311. So, pedestrian hybrid beacons. Don't know quite when those were invented, but the city does have 2 of them now. We had our first one installed at Michigan and Bayton, and shortly thereafter relocated to a more used location right in front of City Hall. Personally, I think it works really well. It definitely provides a very visible overhead indication to vehicles that there are pedestrians in the walkway. We've got some new audible push buttons on the one in front of City Hall that work really well. And you can see it has a tremendous reduction in serious injury and fatalities. I think having those overhead signals is extremely helpful. That being said, I'll get into costs later on. Pedestrian hybrid beacons basically cost the same as a full-fledged traffic signal. There's significant infrastructure and equipment involved with installing a pedestrian hybrid beacon. On to
So
the...
I have a question
Sure.
about that. So I guess actually then, given that you just said it costs the same as a regular traffic signal, why not just use a regular traffic signal? Because, I mean, I was in Ann Arbor recently, and they have one of these, they have a regular traffic signal solely for pedestrian crossing a major road. And so I'm wondering, with the confusion of that this is a new, different thing that drivers are looking at, and if it costs the same, why not just use a regular traffic light?
That's the way it used to be done. In fact, the city has one a regular traffic light for the crosswalk at GVSU under 131 on Fulton Street. Why is a difficult question for me to answer. That's more of an engineering.
Well, I can answer it. If there's nobody trying to cross the street, the light doesn't have to be on. If you've got a traditional traffic signal, then you got gaps in time when cars are waiting for nobody to cross the street.
That's not entirely correct. You can leave a signal resting in green until it gets a pedestrian call too, so it can function in a similar way. So a lot of places this sort of developed from a place of moving cars as efficiently as possible while also providing the safety benefits. So this resting in dark allows traffic to move like it normally would, and then it also has like the wig-wag phase where as long as the pedestrian's not in the crosswalk, vehicles are allowed to slowly move through the intersection. So you do pick up a little bit of efficiency from vehicles, and yes, we do want to be very careful about where we choose to use this versus a half signal is the term that we typically use for what's in front of GVSU. So we definitely want to be introducing new technology and new features to our community. We want to broaden the toolbox we have so that we have examples of these things. When we do implement something new in an area, we love to have examples to tell people to go check out and see before they get implemented so that they have some familiarity with them. But yeah, there's challenges with each one, and we'd have to make good decisions at each location.
Okay, if I could interrupt, a couple of us have to leave at 1:30, so Matt, if you could, with all due respect, if you
Speed it
could
up.
speed up, there are quite a few slides ahead of us.
You bet.
All right.
Pedestrian hybrid beacons, little brother, little sister here is the rectangular rapid flashing beacon. These are much more affordable, but also have a great impact on safety. We have installed 37 of them, the first one in 2017. 5 of our 37 are solar powered. They all work pretty great. The solar powered provides a lot more flexibility for installation locations. We can install them where we don't have a power source nearby, an easy power source. However, they do come with a little bit more maintenance. There are solar panels and batteries that then need to be maintained. Detection technology for traffic signals has improved immensely over the years. We have cameras, we have wireless sensors that are placed in the pavement, and you'll still see some of the old detection technology out there that are the loop wires cut in the pavement that people sometimes call traffic or vehicle sensors. They all work very well, but there are distinct advantages to some of these newer technologies, like the sensors that we place in the pavement can also be pulled out of the pavement for when there's a road project coming through. And that saves us a lot of money because then we can reinstall the sensor after the road project is complete. The cameras provide many other safety benefits to the way we can operate our traffic signals, as well as valuable data for our engineering team, counting vehicles, counting even pedestrians and bicycles. Here's a look of what our hemispherical camera video feeds look like and some of the data, real-time data we can get from them. These cameras, we use them mostly to detect vehicles, and that allows us to activate a signal phase, like a left turn, extend a left turn if there's additional need for it. But there are many other benefits to these technologies that we can use as well. We have one of these cameras detecting bicycles at Leonard and Turner and activating a bicycle signal at that intersection. Here's an example of some of the data we can collect. This data is all data that you would normally have to collect manually by placing those tubes in the road or a temporary camera on one of the corners to collect the data, and then we then pay for processing. The city then pays to process that data, all of which takes time and money. Here are the different types of detection technology that we maintain. This is region-wide. You see there are a lot of hemispherical cameras out there, 128 that we maintain, 67 of which the city owns. So that's been pretty popular across the region, again, because of the many benefits it provides. Induction loops are the old-fashioned loops that you're used to seeing in the pavement. Wireless sensors I talked about earlier. And then we've got the older style video cameras, and there's a few radar units out there. Signal preemption is a big deal in the city of Grand Rapids. We have it at many of our traffic signals. On the next slide, I have the exact number, but our Grand Rapids Fire Department uses it to receive green indications when they're responding to calls. This not only allows them to respond quicker, but also reduces risks to other drivers and pedestrians at the intersection. But the exact same technology is also used by our rapid bus lines, the BRT, Bus Rapid Transit, also known as the Silver Line and Laker Line. So those bus routes use the same technology to receive early greens and extended greens at the traffic signals they're traveling through. Here are the counts of our preemption systems. So the city has 179. That accounts for 70% of the signals in the city of Grand Rapids can be preempted by the fire department or by other emergency services, emergency responders. I think the police department has recently shown an interest in using this technology as well. So,
What is the process for agencies who want to use this? Like, do they come to you and you help them get it, or the city helps them get it set up?
yeah, initially they come to us because the traffic signals have to have the equipment, but then also the vehicles have to be equipped with this technology as well. So that portion of the work falls on whatever division is doing that. So
Okay.
the fire department has an equipment manager that handles all that with all their fire trucks. I believe the police department has a similar position. So.
Okay. And in your recollection, has the Rapid ever reached out about equipping other buses with this system?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago, I think I was talking to Nick about that, and I don't know where that went.
Okay.
But it's like I said, 70% of the city signals already have the technology.
Yeah.
We would have to do some programming on our end to make it work with the buses, but if they're interested in doing more of that, or for other bus routes, we can certainly try to accommodate.
Awesome.
From a Rapid perspective, I think in the past too, when it wasn't more, it's just like 70%, it keeps growing. So I think especially now, we can look at some other routes if we're willing to have the discussion. So I can go to Nick and maybe restart that, because it would take some equipment on our regular buses, of course, but if we have a network to take advantage of, that was always the barrier. So appreciate that.
Definitely. Yeah, it has grown tremendously. Before 2022, we only had 30 or so of these systems. We now have 179. It's grown. After the Laker line was installed, we began asking for capital improvement money to expand throughout the entire city of Grand Rapids. I partnered with the fire department to help push that initiative. So since 2022, basically every signal in the city has it, with the exception of maybe right downtown. We don't have a lot of it because it just isn't needed in some of the places, but moving on. Signal optimization. This is one of the things we do every year. We pick 50 signals or so to study, obtain counts from, and optimize the signal timing for the traffic. We're entering our 20th year of doing this, signal optimization phase 20. It's been very successful in years past. Funny, I remember the very first one was down Fulton Street, and there were many news articles and news stories about it at the time. It was a big deal. Now it just happens automatically every year we do it, but it definitely, we do it both for city signals and all our customer signals. It's a federally funded program, and again, one of the benefits of being the maintaining agency, we're able to coordinate this across city boundaries. Many of the roadways go through the city, like many of the expressway off-ramps. 28th Street is MDOT owned, East Beltline is MDOT owned. We're able to coordinate these projects with other other agencies around our boundary as well. Many of the benefits from signal optimization. Number one, it brings us in compliance with the MUTCD, which is the governing code for traffic signal operation. Signal compliance changes over the years. Improvements are made to the way signals operate and signal timing. So whenever we optimize signal, it brings us into compliance with whatever the current standard is. Signals are timed to reduce traffic delays and queuing, which reduces idling time and can lead to improved fuel efficiency and emissions. I believe recently, a year or two ago, didn't we reach an all-time low for emissions? That might have been related to COVID, though, as well. But it reduces potential conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians, and enhances safety. And it also allows us within the city to pursue some of our own goals of prioritizing non-motorized and transit traffic.
Okay, Matt, I apologize again, but there's like 15 slides left,
Yeah.
and it's already 10 to 1.
Okay.
So most of today was dedicated to this presentation, and then we usually go to about 1:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We
so-
also have just the dash, we have updates, we have directors, we have
Just
comments.
the updates then will be real quick, and
Okay.
Dash probably take about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to
Good.
fly through the rest and just hit the highlights. Going back to prioritizing some of the city values and goals. The city manages our traffic signals in line with NACDO recommendations very much. Some of the things we do in the city are all on this. Every time we modernize, optimize, or look at any modifications to a traffic signal within the city of Grand Rapids, we consider all these factors. I could go on about each one of them, give you examples of locations where we've dealt with these concerns and the things we've done to help mitigate risk and improve safety and efficiency because of these concerns. So I just want to stress that this is important to the city. We work on it every single day in everything we do in the traffic signal world.
Can I ask a question about this?
Sure.
I mean, if we're worried about time, I can save it, but, so I have a question about the leading pedestrian intervals. How long are they now how long is it?
The city uses we've decided to use a 4-second leading pedestrian interval.
Okay,
Sometimes we use it for every crosswalk, sometimes we only use it for the cross street crosswalk and not the main street crosswalk, just because we don't have time to run it on the main street. But yes, 4 seconds for LPIs.
okay. And then is there any plan to expand this to all of the traffic signals, pedestrian signals throughout the city?
We'll definitely be looking at that in future signal optimization projects. However, we've already implemented it on most of, if not all of the low-hanging, easy traffic signals to do it. Some of the, like, for example, we recently had a request for an LPI at Fuller Avenue and Fulton Street, but there's so much peak time vehicle traffic there that if we had to take 8 seconds away from the vehicle time every cycle, there's a concern that it might lead to so much congestion and driver delay that it might actually make things, less efficient and possibly more dangerous for pedestrians to cross at that intersection. So,
Is there any data to support that would happen?
no, it's mostly anecdotal.
Yeah.
We can certainly try things like that, but the problem sometimes with trying is if, and there's nothing wrong with trying something, but sometimes if you make a mistake, then you have to explain why you're reversing that decision, or just deal with the new norm, which might be worse than the old norm.
Right. Well, I mean, every study that I have seen about implementing leading pedestrian intervals is only good.
Yeah.
Like, it is tremendously beneficial for pedestrian safety and non-motorized safety. And that, in my opinion, should be more of a priority than congestion, because it's people's lives. And there was actually a recent study from New York City and Columbia University that found that 7 seconds in New York City was actually like the best. It like reduced fatal accidents by like 33%. So, I mean, just thinking about, the timing we have, how we can better implement these. Yeah.
Definitely. One of what I was going to say about that particular example is one of the tools we can use to balance both needs is pedestrian push buttons. That particular intersection has none. If you have push buttons, then you only need to run the leading pedestrian interval when there's a pedestrian there actually using the push button. The rest of the time, you can use that time and give it back to vehicular traffic. So,
I actually disagree, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, let's move on.
sure. Traffic Management Center, this is the room that we have down at 509 Wealthy that manages all our traffic signals. We use this to maintain signal coordination, adjust signal timing, log data, monitor traffic situations in real time, and respond to critical alarms of malfunctioning signals in traffic situations. We use communication devices to talk to all the traffic signals in order to accomplish that. These are the three main types of devices we use to talk to traffic signals: fiber optics, broadband radio, and cellular. The third option here is relatively new, but it's worked out really well. We now have many, many cellular connections in the city, 197. It's an easy, low-cost way to talk to traffic signals. I wanted to mention on this slide that many of the city's Ethernet switches are overdue for replacement. This is one of the largest challenges facing our department right now. There's a photo of our traffic management center on a typical day. We've got 3 workstations there for working on traffic signals. There's a screenshot from the software we use to maintain traffic signals. Each dot here is a traffic signal that is maintained from our traffic management center. There's a screenshot of real-time operations of a traffic signal. And the future of traffic signals, circling back to push buttons. The public right-of-way accessibility guidelines is now adopted, which means that every new traffic signal or modified traffic signal should have accessible pedestrian signals, audible push buttons. As you may have seen in the city, we already have several, but this is 10 signals already have these audible push buttons, and every new traffic signal that we modernize or add will have them in the future. If we had these at Fuller and Fulton, we could easily implement an LPI with no adverse effects to motorists. There's a lot involved with APS. Here's just a diagram of all the considerations you have to make. You can imagine if you wanted to put 2 of these on every corner of every signalized intersection in the city, what a challenge that would be. So there's a considerable cost and infrastructure investment in order to do this. But we're looking at this in the future and trying to achieve that goal. In the past, while not ProWag compliant, the city has experimented with audible beacons. We have them at 18 signals in the city. These are the speakers. You'll hear them on Michigan Street. They provide an audible message without providing the tactile vibrating push button. So sort of like a nod to providing accessibility without having to tear up and reconstruct the entire intersection in order to put in the push button facilities. Some of the other things coming in the future, dilemma zone detection. MDOT's already begun implementing that on high-speed roadways. What that does is hold a signal in the red state while a vehicle runs the red. Bicycle detection, like I mentioned, we are currently doing that at 1 signal in the city. We could see more of that in the future. Low voltage traffic signals. We've got that planned for the very first signal in the city, Monroe and Pearl Street. Unfortunately, that's going to require some growing pains as that signal is reworked, but we're going to get to try low voltage traffic signals, which to the public is going to look exactly like a regular traffic signal, but for us it means increased energy savings, battery backup, safer both for our employees and the public. Connected vehicle technology was at the forefront a few years ago and then got put on the back burner, but that's possible again in the near future. There's near-miss detection technologies out there that we haven't tried yet. Automated traffic signal performance measures. We may be trying that in the future with an upgraded TMC software package. And finally, adaptive signal control technology. This is when the signals adapt to changing traffic patterns. Traverse City has and Ann Arbor both use that. A couple of the agencies in the state. Ann Arbor uses it mostly for their U of M football games. Traverse City has unpredictable and changing traffic patterns during their summer peak tourism months. Signal energy. I just wanted to point out that LED traffic signals have been around for a long time. By 2021, the city has mostly upgraded all our traffic signals to LED. We finally did our last one in 2024. That was right in the heart of downtown here at Division Street, or Division Avenue and Fulton Street. Here's a list of, a typical incandescent traffic signal. That's not just a traffic signal head, but that's an entire intersection. Will consume 2,700 kilowatt hours per month. We have almost more than a 10-fold decrease when we upgrade to LED. And if we are able to use 48-volt low voltage traffic signals, that's an additional decrease in energy consumption. And at the bottom of this slide, you can see what our energy usage used to be prior to 2021, 63,000 kilowatt hours per month, which is the equivalent to, that's what it is now. Prior to 2021, it was 669,000 kilowatt hours, 743 households. So we've had a 10-fold decrease in the energy usage thanks to LED technology. These are the costs of traffic signals currently. As of July 2025, we just obtained these figures. These figures are much higher than they were pre-COVID, but they're certainly presenting a budgetary challenge to the city right now as we adjust to the new norm. If you tally up all the city traffic signals, they have a total replacement value at those costs that I just showed of $118 million, which is a lot. Our average asset value across the entire city is $417,000. So some things aren't so much money, like a rapid flashing beacon is relatively low cost, but when we install a full phased, a large intersection traffic signal with mast arms and all the bells and whistles, those can be $600,000. So they're not cheap. We're working on a plan, asset management plan to map our future out. Basically, we have things that we must do, which you see at the bottom of this pyramid: maintain existing signals, maintenance and operations. We make safety upgrades when we can and can afford to. We improve signal infrastructure when we can have funding for it. And finally, at the top of the pyramid are, when everything's going well and you have the ability, we do operational improvements, and finally enhancements, like we could try some of those cutting edge technologies that I spoke about earlier. That's it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks for listening. I know I could probably go on about traffic signals a lot longer than most people are interested in hearing about. You can tell that I'm passionate about it, and I enjoy my work, so thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt.
So if I could
Yes.
go first. So let me go through the things on the slides that I sort of flagged. First of all, thanks. A lot of this is good. A lot of it's clearly pulling in the direction that I hope we can go as a city. There are, so take these as, asterisks, I hope, on generally positive. So it's great to see a lot of good, sensible stuff. But my macro concern, that really 20,000-foot view, one of my commissioners already mentioned, which is I think our lodestone for all of this work has to not be the traditional MDOT objective, but it has to be safety. And so I really bridled at the MDOT description there that says the primary goal of traffic signals is to move traffic. For me, the primary goal of traffic systems is not to kill my citizens. It's kind of shocking to me that that's their definition, but not shocking, not surprising. I've read the books, this is something that good, smart urbanists have figured out in the last 20 years, right? There's a book out there, which is one of my favorites, called Killed by a Traffic Engineer. And this looks like, if you're not concerned about killing people, sure, you're trying to move cars as fast as possible. I would say in that same slide, I'm not trying to make our traffic signals great again. Do not, don't hear this as that. But I do think that in this current world, it's worth wondering why we use words. So the city has the goal to do this with an added focus on safety. I think you could stop right there. That's what I want. I want safety. I don't know what equity looks like in traffic lights. I just have no idea what that would mean. And I don't know what sustainability means. I mean, none of your presentation was about designing longer lasting lights. Well, I guess maybe LEDs, but I mean, I don't think that that's really worth putting in there as a goal. I think our goal should be safety, and we can stop there and rest there. Because if we spent more, if it was a question of, should we spend a lot more electricity and kill two fewer people next year? I know which one I'd choose. So for me, safety is such an overarching goal that I would like to, and I just don't know what equity means there. So, I guess I'm more saying the emperor doesn't have any clothes. I'm not saying I want to make our traffic signals great again. But that is to say the orange part above that in the slide, we talk about providing direction. It doesn't say optimize traffic flow. It doesn't say, there's no safety word in that orange objective. So I would love to have a system that was designed and had mission statements which always were prioritizing safety. That's just where I happen to be, and I'm only one member of this commission, but I'm just saying it. That will allow me another moment of grumpiness. Signal optimization, I get it's 20 years old. I think it's 20 years out of date. Signal optimization has always bugged the daylights out of me as a pedestrian, because I was on this commission when the feds came along and said, oh, we should stop letting pedestrians have an automatic right to cross the road because it slows cars down. And slowing cars down is terrible, because we're going to solve global warming by letting all of our cars never stop. And so I lost my right to cross the street when there was a green light, because the feds thought that was a bad idea. I think that the way we solve global warming is density, pedestrians, walkable communities, and I think that a real focus on making that happen means I'm deeply suspicious of optimizing signals. And, the signal optimizing benefits, again, I'm just not sure that I believe. It says reducing idling time can lead to improved fuel efficiency. What really leads to improved fuel efficiency is walking. And then it says by reducing potential for conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians, optimizing can enhance safety. I mean, if that's a complete way of saying that, we're making sure pedestrians get out of the way of cars, again, that's not my top priority. My top priority is making a city where we can actually walk and actually bike. Similarly, when we were talking about the lead time for I would love to have this group start coming up with actual directions and recommendations for staff. And one of the things that I would love to have us discuss is, what does the little early start pedestrian walk signal mean? Because if bikes were able to go on that, that would be awesome, because what I always want to do when I'm on a bike is get ahead of all the cars so they can see me and not kill me. So I know there's an Oregon stop, I think it is, that people talk about too. Idaho, okay. So I think we could do an Idaho stop, but I think we could potentially do one better if we said that little pedestrian walk thing means a bike can also go then. Pedestrians and bikes can go, because hypothetically I might already do that. But I think that, making a world in which cyclists don't have to break the law to keep themselves safe would be another nice goal. I will also say that I think that we are, for what it's worth in terms of our recommendations, I think like I said, a lot of the stuff is going in the right direction, but just like authorizing accessory dwelling units and having 2 of them made in your city isn't really going to solve your housing crisis. I think we are way, way, way behind on the NACDO goal of adjusting per peak and off-peak volumes. Just to start, I think almost every traffic signal in this town could go to a 4-way flasher at, midnight. Find me an intersection that's busy at midnight. I think that a lot of them could go 4-way flashers at 7 o'clock in the evening. And I think that would be much better for pedestrians. I think it'd be much safer for them. As I've said many times before, no one's ever tried to kill me, run me over at a 4-way stop as a pedestrian, and nobody races to a 4-way stop. Nobody tries to beat one because the signal tells them they've got 8 seconds left to get through the light. It's one of the maybe unintended consequences of those countdown pedestrian things is that cars can see them too, and they can decide how fast they have to go to get through the light. So I love hard stops for cars, because a car that's not moving is really not lethal.
Commissioner?
Yeah.
Just real quick, we have about 5 more minutes for questions, and that's it.
Yep.
And then we've got to move.
Yep. So we should probably change our balance so that we've got about an equal amount of time for discussion in the future. So I'm done. That's my hit list off the presentation.
All good comments, by the way. Okay. Next, let's go to the Dash. And again, we have 20 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention on the signals. It's a big program. It's a big part of the traffic system, the transportation system, and the safety in a system of the city. And I appreciate you all's thoughts, and we will talk more about signals because one of the things that Matt mentioned there at the end, just very at the tail end, was two things: the signal asset management plan, and then also it's kind of buried in there a little bit, but talking about our switches, our Ethernet switches, and they're woefully at the end of their lives. So those are two big ticket items that I'm hoping that we can talk more about, and about how some solutions we've come up with to solve those problems. So for this next little discussion, Max has got some solutions based on some conversations that we've had at our last meeting about the Dash, and then overall, concerns and challenges with the Dash program that I've heard over my last year here. So the first thing I need you to do is get out your smartphone, because Max has got a couple of things he wants to ask you, and we're going to take your feedback through a Mentimeter. So if you haven't done that before, it's actually a little QR code that you're going to scan. Can you guys see this on your monitors? Yes. Okay, great. So you'll be able to scan that when we get there. And we're going to get live time results, right? It's going to be exciting.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. I'll go ahead and just kind of steamroll through this. I did just want to take a quick second just to kind of reiterate some of the conversations that we had during last month's Mobile GR Commission meeting, because that was a great conversation. We really appreciate the feedback and input. It's really helpful, but for those folks who weren't here last month, there was a desire for more engagement with businesses, specifically some of the issues that Westside businesses specifically have been communicating to staff as well as other stakeholders. There was an agreement to conduct a business-focused survey, sort of in tandem with our onboard rider intercept survey. We're working with Commissioner Lunger and Chamber and DGRI as well to get that up and moving. And there's also, I really want to point out that there was some really interesting debate kind of back and forth about kind of balancing economic development goals with equity goals. It's a very valid discussion, and that's actually what the Mentimeter survey is sort of going to start trying to scratch that itch and get a little bit more of these guiding principles to surface up to the top, which will help inform the potential strategies and solutions that we move forward with implementing. And lastly, I'll just mention that the additional outreach that we're going to look to be doing. Here's our prioritization exercise. You can use the QR code or use the URL there on the left with the 8-digit code. This prioritization exercise, I figure maybe we'll just take 3 minutes-ish. There's about 11 priorities. While you're going through that, I'll just give you sort of a deeper explanation of what each of these priorities includes. Kyle, why don't we go ahead and switch over to the Mentimeter page. We'll wait to actually display the data. We don't want anybody's selections to be influenced by what's coming up. Is there rankings? Yeah, so this is a ranking exercise. So what we're looking to do is place them in descending order. Yeah. I'm not very good at this. So preserving current ridership base and volume would be focusing on maintaining existing service characteristics that have been successful with our current ridership base, and ensuring that we don't displace or lose riders with any actions taken. Attracting a new ridership base. This is really about growth of the market of folks who are taking Dash today and drawing in people who do not currently ride Dash, such as tourists and remote workers visiting downtown, convention attendees, hotel guests. I'll call that like an under-tapped market. It's not to say that those folks are not ever taking Dash, but we are recognizing that it's a under-tapped market. Increasing ridership volume, then this is going to be different than attracting a new ridership base. Increasing ridership base would be let's really focus on how many people are using Dash and to what degree. So increasing service frequency, and weekend service or better multimodal integration could get more folks. That's really one of our KPIs, is that total ridership from month over month that we're currently reporting in our monthly updates. But obviously that can shift as we gain more insight from you all. Achieving local business support, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Increasing operator satisfaction, safety, and existing ridership base satisfaction, safety are on there as well. Cost effectiveness, this is really about the kind of dollar for dollar kind of impact we get, how many folks we can move by, spending our funds on Dash. So the two KPIs that we use to track that are cost per rider and cost. Cost per rider is, I take that back. That's actually the one KPI that we have to measure that cost effectiveness. Lastly, encouraging economic development. This is something that was touted pretty strongly during the Dash 3.0 redesign, was that we want to move people about our downtown and allow them to patronize businesses, local businesses, and get to hotels and some of those key destinations. Okay. Colin, why don't we go ahead and press H? We have 10 of 12 have responded. Those rest of those responses will come in here. Okay. Top priority that's surfaced at the top is attracting new ridership base and increasing ridership base. Okay. Existing ridership base, satisfaction, and safety. Yeah, this is really helpful. I see equity and access goals, rounding out the very bottom consideration. Yeah, and this will continue to be open for those who haven't. Oh, we have one more. Just give it another few seconds here. Yeah, and this is really important. As you're going through this, I'm sure you're noticing that some of these values are diametrically opposed to one another. Some of the, when you're designing a transit system, you can't really do all things at the same time. So for instance, if equity and access were your highest priority, well, that might sort of be in conflict with the desire to attract a new ridership base. If we're saying that we want to make sure that this service is providing for those who have no other option. So the sort of, I don't like this term, but for lack of a better term, captive riders, that rather than supporting more of the discretionary riders.
I don't agree with that at all. And actually, when I was going through this, one of the things I was thinking is that, a lot of these are kind of the same thing. And in my opinion, if you improve access, if you make a better service for the people that quote unquote need to use it, that runs consistently, that is often frequency, that runs like 24 hours even, shows up when you need it, that's going to attract new riders. If there's like the ease of use, like I don't view that as something that's opposed at all.
Yeah, good comment. I think in that particular instance with improving service frequency, that is certainly one that's going to benefit everybody that's looking to use the service, whether existing or future riders. But like for instance, a particular solution or intervention of like implementing fare collection would like fly in the face of equity and goal access while also attracting a new ridership base, potentially. All right, so
Okay.
I think we have pretty much everybody who's in, and I know that look, this is a really difficult conversation. These are, these topics get really emotional, and this is just kind of a very like quick swipe just to get a finger on the pulse. And each one of these are worth a significant discussion unto themselves. But this is just a really brief just check in to see where priorities are at, and certainly this allows us to sort of structure future conversations with this group as well. because we'll certainly want to get further into
If I can chime in a couple just 2 seconds on those results, and just a couple things, folks. One is, I think cost effectiveness will always tend to fall to the bottom of a list if you're spending other people's money. It's one of the dilemmas of public work, so that's worth just pointing out, as somebody who has to pass a budget every year and pays for this. So the other is that I want to point out, one of the reasons I put operator satisfaction and safety fairly high is because I know what the Rapid knows, which is it's hard to get people to drive these things. They are people's last choices. And so I always say in my businesses, my number one priority is to make my employees have good lives. My number two priority is to try to serve customers. So for what it's worth, that's why I prioritize that, because if we can't get people to drive the buses, it's tough to run the system.
Great point. Does anybody else want to chime in with why they maybe rank something a certain way, high or low?
Yeah, I guess I agree with Commissioner Sessa in that a lot of these do seem like they could fall under the same category, like increasing ridership base and attracting new ridership base would fall under. But anyway, I rated increasing the ridership base number one because I think that it's a vital service that we provide to, like you said, those captive riders, but also to our guests in our city. And increasing what we already have would certainly, to me, make a lot more sense than trying to reframe the service as something else to try to attract a new ridership base. So that's why I put that up there.
Yeah. And maybe this falls on me, but when I was thinking about attracting new ridership base, increasing ridership base, I was thinking about the overall volume. So that could be existing or new riders. So that would, just the overall number of rides per month, I guess, is what I was trying to drive at with that question. So maybe I didn't explain that properly.
So I want to pop us over into some solutions, some potential solutions that Max has come up with. Colin, if you could pop us over there, in our last couple of minutes with Max. And I know this is a big conversation. This is not the last time we'll talk about this. I just want to acknowledge that this is a big conversation. But we've heard a lot of information, and one of the things is there's some big ticket items that we could invest in the DASH program, just like in a perfect world where we had plenty of money. But we wanted to suggest a few things that were a little lower cost and put those in front of you and get your initial reactions, if that's okay, in our next couple of minutes.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. So I'll just go over these really briefly. We want to come to you all with a few proposed solutions just to sort of get the pump primed. The first one that we are looking at here is creating sort of a transit ambassador or stewardship program. Transit agencies across the country have been implementing this. They're typically kind of the bigger players in the public transit world, like your LA, San Francisco's, Portland, Oregon. It's kind of moving away from a transit enforcement officer. This is not enforcement. I want to be clear about that. This is a uniformed employee, but they're emphasizing hospitality, connecting folks to services, and kind of try to keep a positive interaction. And they're also trained in like de-escalation tactics as well.
I just got to say, I'm a huge fan of this idea. I mentioned this before, but the contrast for me between Chicago, where their transit system seems to be a dumpster fire as far as I can tell, and Boston, where their transit system really works well. And on every Boston subway car, there's an ambassador, and they're just sitting there. They don't have a gun. They're not sworn officers, but we all observe public order if there are witnesses better than if there are no witnesses. I'm less likely to blow my nose on the sidewalk if I think someone's watching me.
Well, I hope someone's watching you. I agree. I'm a big fan of this.
And for the reasons you identified, that's why they're pretty successful, and a lot of agencies are kind of moving to this type of model. There are some considerations, obviously, like needing to develop a program, training resources, and there's sort of those roles and authorities that certainly would have to be very clear and in place. But certainly a lot of intrigue and interest. The next one here is increased frequency of bus stop cleaning. This sort of solves some of those safety and comfort issues and maintenance issues. That's something that we have an existing contract with Next Step of West Michigan to take litter and refuse from the dash stops that are outside of the DID boundary, the Downtown Improvement District boundary. Those are currently serviced by the existing downtown ambassadors. There's also a new program that West Grand Neighborhood Organization has launched, the West Side Beautification Crew. It's a potential partnership opportunity as well, I just want to mention. Local business stakeholder group and survey. Certainly the survey is something we're going to be doing anyway, but creating a regularly meeting group of these folks who are most interested in solving some of the concerns around DASH creates kind of more of a direct and regular feedback mechanism and allows more of a collaborative approach to designing solutions. That way we can get more consistent and verifiable feedback. You know, if we're hearing the same things over and over, we know it's an issue. It also provides a kind of key sounding board for potential ideas. Lastly, the fourth option here is economic development resources. This would have the goal of attracting new ridership by producing kind of a number of materials, one being kind of like a high-scale transportation demand management consulting package that we could distribute to major downtown employers, various other promotional marketing materials for hotels, for instance, for the welcome bag or gift package that hotels will provide to their guests, having more resources about DASH or getting maps inside of all hotel rooms as well. Again, just kind of spitballing ideas here and kind of helping really bolster that link. And I have this quote here of like ride free, shop local. You know, that's really what we're trying to accomplish with DASH. All right, so from here, we want to refine some of these options that we've presented to you today. We also want to hear if there's any additional things that we should be thinking about that was not included on this list. There's a whole, you know, there's probably about 1 million potential options that we could look at in terms of improving trans. Mayor LeGrand, sorry, did you have? Oh.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to throw out the Hail Mary option, which is probably not worth putting on a slide, but, and that would be to challenge down, and some of us are on DGRI, but challenge the downtown folks to see the potential of having spoke and hub model, like actually going out into neighborhoods, would mean the median voter in the third ward who's helping pay for this can be like, oh, right, there is a dash line that runs down Kalamazoo. And so traditionally, we've only seen it as downtown, but there could be a broader conversation there. It might get us broader buy-in in general.
Yeah, so we'll add DASH expansion conversations later, but one real quick thing to remind you all, and I feel like I say this every meeting, the DASH is not paid for by tax dollars. It's paid for by DGRI partnership. They write a check, and then we also write a check from the parking fund. So this is paid for out of parking revenues and DGRI revenues, which are tax dollars from businesses downtown. So that's why you don't see an expansion at this time. But that does not mean we can't have a conversation about that. But thank you for bringing that up, because otherwise you would be correct.
There's also a framing question, right? If we stop doing downtown, if we stop doing tax capture downtown, then it wouldn't be a downtown fund. But I'm not advocating for that. I'm just pointing out it's all in the framing.
I guess topical to today's presentation earlier, it would be helpful in your survey if you asked people if they have trouble crossing the street and if that's a hindrance, because people who ride the bus are also walkers. And if it takes them too long to get to a place because it takes them too long to get to where they need to go because it takes too long to cross the street, or it feels too dangerous because they don't have enough time before the light changes green to cross the street, that would be like really good to know. And it's if we had more headway for people to cross the street, that's not like a big budget item that we have to fork out in order to make the DASH more appealing. So it's within our grasp to make that positive change and attract more people to a more comfortable service if we know that.
Yeah, great point.
Max, thanks very much for bringing this forward. I mean, as the mayor mentioned, it is an issue with drivers picking that route, so I really appreciate these things bringing forward. And personally, I'm very intrigued too by the ambassador idea, so really look forward to more discussions on this.
Max, I think looking at your upcoming efforts, I think they all make sense. I found myself wondering though, like, what's the end we're driving to? Like, is there a mission statement for the Dash? You know, like, if it seems like we all have very different priorities on this board, on this commission, of course. But I think it might be helpful to at least settle on some sort of mission statement for the Dash. Like, why are we, doing a survey? Like, all that kind of stuff.
I think that's a great point because Dash is pretty long in the tooth. It's been in some iteration operating in Grand Rapids for about 50 years. It's been a lot of things over its lifetime. It really was born out of a need to get folks who park on the west side of the river down to downtown. Well, those parking lots, a lot of them aren't there anymore. So, yeah, that's a very worthwhile conversation and something to really think about. What is Dash? What is it? What do we want it to do?
Okay, it's 1:31. I'm always the bearer of bad news.
Can I make one more comment on this? I'm sorry.
If you make it very quick.
So I appreciate having like the idea to have a local like business stakeholder group. I would think even perhaps more important would be like a rider stakeholder group, like people who actually use it.
Yeah, a great point, and I'll just answer this really quickly. One of the things that we could leverage is we asked folks on the ridership survey, the Intercept survey, if they'd be willing to continue to participate in any sort of follow-up. Yeah, so. All right, thank you all, appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yes.
everyone. I promise to get you right out of here. In your packet, you do have our department updates, and please let me know if you have any questions about those. You can email me anytime. I did not have any director updates for you specifically. I wanted to add that as a standing item on your agenda so that I had time to add things that maybe I've heard from you all that I want to make sure we have time to take care of. So that is it. Thank you so much.
Cool. If I could, I'd love to have 15 minutes structured, planned, so we can have discussion at the end, because I hope that this group can actually get to the point where it's starting to make recommendations, and specific instantiated recommendations on a lot of things, so.
Yeah, I
Time to
would
do that would be
agree.
great.
I think, we can discuss it offline, but I think the presentations, as good as they are, take up too much time, and everybody here seems well engaged with a lot of questions. I think that's as important, or maybe more important, that enough time is left so that we can get through all the questions and still be out by 1:30.
Well, I think you're going to have to choose whether you want to go longer or you want to ask questions, because the
I think the-
information being brought to you all is important for your discussion. So help me. I can do 2 of 3.
Is there anything requiring us to only meet once a month? Could meetings be maybe twice a month?
Oh, I for one can't do
Yeah.
that, but it's certainly,
Yeah.
I think there's a
Figure that
way of shortening, still having a presentation with meat in the presentation that doesn't take an hour, so we can leave enough time for questions.
In our meeting packet that we're required to read beforehand,
Exactly.
can there be an appendix with more detail that goes, that is a deeper dive into what will be presented during the day?
Well, I think that's fine. Providing all the information in a packet is great. I just don't think we need to go line by line and take up so much time.
I did think the package was great, and it gave me a lot, basically all the information that I think I needed to discuss and chew on, but
Because it
Perhaps-
would be nice to bring our questions, I think, for your benefit, to bring our questions to the meeting as opposed to during the meeting, right?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to suggest is perhaps like if we know we have things that we want to talk about on the presentation, we could like sort of send you some topics ahead of time. And then like we know that would be what we should prioritize for discussion.
That would be super helpful.
Yeah.
I'm flying a little blind.
I'll even add to that and say, for me personally, I work best with deadlines. So if you send us an email and say, we would love if you could make this suggestion of topics by this date and time, I got it. I can get that done, get it in, come prepared to listen.
No problem.
All right. Next is public comment. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak, you do have an opportunity now. All right, seeing none. Any other comments? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.